Hello there guys and welcome to Saturday's live stream. I am JWF1 and we are here for some action here on Saturday, and we're going to kick things off with the qualifying session to determine the grid for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. And the top class are rearing to go. If you didn't see what happened last weekend in Belgium, Lewis Hamilton went on to take victory after a close first stint battle with Sebastian Vettel in the end, but he obviously dropped back after a spin down at P1. Romain Grosjean finishing second in the Bud Light line, with Kimi Raikkonen managing third in the Suomi. And that's that really. So that was in Belgium. We're here at Silverstone where two Brits are looking to put on a show. Lewis Hamilton and Oliver Rowland. You could also say Ed Jones as well, considering he's got a background in the UK, but he's obviously listed as an Emirates driver. But he has got some background in the UK. But as you can see, bright and sunny conditions here at Silverstone. Just a couple of notes. I did say that yesterday somebody had a qualifying ban. I was wrong. There wasn't. Formula 1, the top class and GP2 do not consist of a qualifying ban. It's just GP3 that has got them for this weekend. So nobody has a qualifying ban for the top class. All 22 cars will be taking part. And on top of that as well, 3 teams are carrying upgrades for this weekend. 3 out of the 11 teams. So that's that. And of course the news came out, as I mentioned yesterday, that Pierre Gasly will be moving to the top class next season with Shadow Mercedes, replacing the outgoing Charles Leclerc, who will be moving to Eldorado next season, and who's replacing the outgoing Sergio Perez, who's moving to Bud Light Lime, who's replacing the outgoing Antonio Giovinazzi, who's going to Martini, who's replacing the outgoing Esteban Ocon, who's moving to GRM, replacing Verne, who's on the he's pretty much on the bench, really, of trying to find a job. So, bright and sunny conditions here at Silverstone. I've waffled on for a bit. So, without further ado, let's get to the qualifying session. So, here we are then in the pit lane. And we're going to go to the end of the pit lane with who's at the end of the pit lane. It is Oliver Rowland, so we will wait and get this session underway. 35-minute session around here at Silverstone as we wait for the first set of cars to come out onto the track. As mentioned, 3 out of the 11 teams have brought upgrades here to Silverstone, and I'll be hoping that makes a difference this weekend. And so, as we've got some track activity, that looks to be an Eldorado that's coming out onto the track. And it is in the form of Valtteri Bottas. So Bottas coming out on the track now then. So Bottas just coming out now then as he comes out onto the track. So Bottas, the first man out on track in the Eldorado, as he just goes around Maggots and Beckett. And he's just going around these sets of corners before going down through Chapel. So also on track now then we have Nico Hulkenberg in the EMR. And Hulkenberg currently third in the Drivers' Championship at this stage. Her teammate Sebastian Vettel. Daniel Ricciardo out on track for GRM. He's out there, as is Fernando Alonso. He had a brilliant comeback last weekend in Belgium to get up to 4th after his qualifying ban last weekend. He'll be looking to try and get that Etihad onto pole if he can. Max Verstappen out there as well for Martini. We also have Ed Jones and Ollie Rowland out there. Stoffel Vandoorne comes out to the track, as does Kevin Magnussen. Pascal Wehrlein out there, as is Brendan Hartley in the monster car. Carlos Sainz Jr. coming out onto the track for Shadow, as Giovinazzi is now out on track himself for Bud Light Lime, as is Charles Leclerc. And that's that. They are the 14 cars that have come out onto the track now then, as Bottas just comes up towards the last 2 corners at left field, because he'll be the one setting the benchmark time for everybody to beat, coming out the final corner and rounding around Woodcote, as Bottas now then starts a lap in the Eldorado now then, as he heads down towards Copse Corner now then, turn 1, flicking the car in and just missing that curve on the outside like most of the drivers have done all weekend now then, through Maggots and then into Beckett. Sparks coming off the back of his car. Through the second part we go, which has cut out people in the past, and I don't know if that's because there's a lot of tailwind going around that part of the track, I don't know. But heading down the hanger straight now then on this lap before approaching Stowe Corner, and Bottas just flicking the car through the right-hander as he will now go through the left, as he will now approach Vale, and then it will take him onto Club Corner. So through Vale and then around Club Corner, a little left at the beginning of that corner, but back on the power straight away, coming out of Club Corner now then, before approaching the Flat Out Abbey. Through the left-hander he goes, heading down the hill towards Bridge Corner. And let's see what Valtteri Bottas is able to do. Up towards Priory now then. Will go Valtteri. Flicking the car in for the left. In towards the second part he will go. And let's see what Bottas is able to do then. Up towards the final 2 corners on the track. Then through Luffield A. And up towards Luffield B. And that's a little bit of understeer there from Bottas. So it looked like it as well. He had a little bit of a wiggle on the outside. So that might have cost him a little bit of time there. But the benchmark time was a 1 minute 19.835 for Valtteri Bottas. So that's the time everybody's got to beat. Here's Nico Hulkenberg then just rounding around Luffield. Let's see what Nico is able to do. He crosses the line and goes P1 with a 1 minute 18.969. So a little bit of time lost there for Valtteri Bottas. Daniel Ricciardo slots to second place of that lap. Then it's P2 for Fernando Alonso. P3 for Verstappen. As here comes Ed Jones rounding around Woodcote. P6 for him. And then it's P6 for Roland. Looked like he got a little bit held up there by Ed Jones. Stoffel Vandoorne crosses the line, goes P5 in the AMP. Kevin Magnussen slots 6th, and then it's P6 for Wehrlein, and then up to 3rd goes Brendan Hartley with that lap. So a good time from last season's GP2 champion. Here's last season's runner-up in that GP2 title, Carlos Sainz Jr. rounding around Woodcote. Let's see what Sainz is able to produce. He goes only 9th with that lap. P6 for Antonio Giovinazzi, P9 for Leclerc. And that'll be that then. So at the moment it is currently Hulkenberg fastest with Alonso in second place. And then rounding out the top 3 at the moment is, surprisingly, I believe it's Brendan Hartley. Yes, Brendan Hartley is currently 3rd. But remember, there's still 8 cars to do laps. 2 of them including Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel. So things could change a little bit later on, but that's what the currently leaderboard looks like, as these 14 cars have all done their first flying laps, and they'll be heading back into the pits this time around. As through Club Corner there goes Brendan Hartley before approaching the Flat Out Abbey, and as mentioned, these guys are heading back into pit lane this time around, as he just goes around Bridge Corner before approaching Priory and Brooklands, and then flicking it in through the corner now then before approaching the next left-hander. And of course, as mentioned, we'll be seeing Hartley and co just going back into pits, and so that'll be that, as cars now in pit lane. Here's Charles Leclerc in the shadow, obviously moving to Eldorado next season, so huge times ahead for Leclerc, and he'll be looking to do a good job with shadow this weekend. He just missed out on points last weekend in Belgium, but he's looking to see if he can do that this weekend here at Silverstone, and which has always thrown up a good race in the past. The last 2 seasons we've been to Silverstone. As now Leclerc comes into the pits, and let's see what his mechanics will do as he just goes into pit lane. As that looks like Hamilton is getting ready. Looks like Perez is about to come out. I had to wait for Leclerc, the man who's replacing him at Eldorado next season, to come trundling down pit lane. As there goes Perez going out on track, and so that's that really at this stage. As out on the track then goes Sergio Perez in the Eldorado, as he just flicks off the pit limiter, and out on the track he goes then. So Perez heading through Maggots and Beckett's, and let's see what Perez can do as he just goes out on the track. So far has had a better season than what Bottas has had so far, lying in 5th in the Drivers' Championship, and so he's the only man that's currently behind the EMRs and the Etiads in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, the highest I should say, as he comes up towards Vale and then into Club. Perez just preparing to start his next flying lap, and of course this is his final season at Eldorado, as he will be moving to Bud Light Lime next season, replacing the outgoing Antonio Giovinazzi. Kimi Raikkonen comes out on track after getting his form back in Belgium thanks to a brilliant podium from the Finn, and to bring him a little bit closer in that battle for at least 3rd, could be even 2nd as well, as EMR lost quite a lot of points in the Constructors last weekend, so a little bit that big battle for 2nd place in the Constructors Championship starting to heat up, it appears. Romain Grosjean out on track for Bud Light Lime, had the last 2 races he's been on the podium, looking to continue that this weekend if he can. Nico Hulkenberg back out onto the track, the man that's currently on pole. Carlos Sainz Jr. coming back out. Jean-Eric Vergne out there as well, as is Scott Dixon. Kevin Magnussen, Sebastian Vettel's out there, as is Brendan Hartley, Esteban Ocon, Ollie Rowland, Lewis Hamilton, the home favourite, out on track as well. The fans hoping to see Lewis take pole position here at Silverstone, as he has done for most of the season. Perez has just started a lap in the Eldorado as he heads down the Hangar Straight, heading up towards Stowe Corner now then. Perez looking to try and see if he can get himself up there if he can. Round Stone End goes the Mexican driver as he now comes around the section of corners. And now up towards Vale and Club as he now flicks the car in through the left-hander, through the left and then through the right he will go. Out of the corner now, then heading down towards Abbey. And so up towards Abbey will go Sergio Perez. As down towards Bridge Corner, it's flat for some of it before you break down up towards Priory, which he's up to now, and he's coming up towards the end of his first flying lap now. Then Perez coming around the final few corners, and let's see what Checo is able to do. Around Luffield 1 and then around Luffield 2 he will go before approaching Woodcote. And let's see what Perez is able to do on this lap. Then across the line comes Sergio, and he goes 6th fastest with that lap. So P6 for him. Alonso's come out onto the track. He's about to start a lap as we now look at Kimi Raikkonen on his first flying lap. See what the Iceman can do. Rounding the final few corners on the track, then he will go. Raikkonen will now head down the pit straight now, then through Woodcote. And Kimi will now cross the line. And let's see what he's doing. And he goes fastest. Raikkonen going to the top of the timing sheets. Raikkonen currently fastest, beats Hulkenberg to that. And then Grosjean does. So Grosjean now goes fastest in the Bud Light line. What about Hulkenberg? Can he try and beat him this time? No, he can't. Stays third with that lap. Doesn't improve as a result. Here comes Carlos Sainz Jr. An improvement for him. Nope, stays 14th. 16th for Jean-Eric Vergne. Here comes Scott Dixon now then, who goes around Woodcote. And Dixon crosses the line, only 18th for him. Kevin Magnussen stays in 13th, no improvement. Only 7th for Sebastian Vettel that time around. P5 still for Brendan Hartley, no improvement though for the Kiwi. Here comes Ocon across the line, he will go, and he goes 7th with that lap, so a good time from Ocon. 16th for Oliver Rowland. Here comes Lewis Hamilton. Can he try and grab pole as he now crosses the line? And he doesn't, he stays 4th with that lap, so P4 for Lewis Hamilton. And that'll be that then. So at the moment it is currently, Grosjean that's currently fastest at the moment with Raikkonen in 2nd place. And then it is Hulkenberg who rounds out the top 3 with Hamilton 4th. And I'm trying to think who's in 5th place at this stage. I'm trying to think, in fact, who's in 5th place. A lot of people look like they got held up in traffic on their first flying laps. It's Alonso is coming in 5th, but he crosses the line and goes up to 4th, so he gets in front of teammate Hamilton at this stage. So Alonso improves to go up to 4th place at this stage, but the top 3 not consisting of the Etiads at this stage. And at the moment, Romain Grosjean topping the session with Kimi Raikkonen in 2nd and Nico Hulkenberg in 3rd. But we've still got plenty of time left on the clock. Anything can still happen. And so, as you can see, everybody just waiting in the pit lane. And these first few laps are always going to be, what's the word I'm looking for? These first few laps always going to be quite a tricky one because, of course, let's not forget, a lot of them get held up in the traffic. And so that's that really, is Alonso's coming back into the pits this time around as we wait for another set of cars to come out onto the track. Alonso will be heading back into pit lane this time around as he goes around Bridge Corner before approaching Priory and then up in towards Brooklands. And so in towards the section of corners now then we go up towards Luffield 1 and then Luffield 2. And so Alonso will be going into the pits, which he does. Into the pits comes Fernando Alonso. Is there another car out on track? Yes, Valtteri Bottas out on track for Eldorado. He was the first man out a little earlier on as well. And so far finding himself all the way down in 19th place. So that's not good for Valtteri Bottas. He's looking to see if he can improve upon that. And so that's that really. Is Bottas now then around Stowe Corner now then he goes. As he just flicks the car in through the section of corners before approaching Vale and Club. So Bottas now then getting the car in and around the right-hander as well. As he will now approach Abbey. And Bottas preparing to start his next flying lap, hoping to get a clear track in front so he can try and improve. Also on track we have Max Verstappen, who's currently lying in 7th place in the Martini. Pascal Wehrlein out there as well, as is Kimi Raikkonen, who's currently on the front row. Esteban Ocon, Daniel Ricciardo, Stoffel Vandoorne, Jean-Eric Vergne, Scott Dixon coming back out onto the track, as is Lewis Hamilton. Current pole sitter Romain Grosjean is coming out onto the track, as is Sergio Perez. And also coming out will be Jones and Vettel. There's a lot of guys looking to see if they can improve after seeing that a lot of them got caught up in traffic, but we'll wait and see. Bottas now then starting his lap as he comes down the pit straight, heading down towards Copse corner now then, as he looks to try and get higher than 19th. It didn't look like that lap was very clean for Bottas, but let's not forget as well, as he's got traffic in front, so that won't help Valtteri at all, in the form of, that looks like Ed Jones in the Mars Grand Prix car, because remember, of course, Bottas did make a mistake on his lap. He had a little bit of a wiggle coming out of Luffield, and that cost him possibly a few temps as a result. So that's that really. So he's looking to see if he can improve on that, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case at the moment, because it looks like now he's getting held up by Ed Jones. So some more frustration there for Valtteri Bottas, as he just comes around Stowe corner before approaching Vale and Club. He's going to try and get him down the inside into Vale, but Jones having none of it, and that's definitely his lap now compromised as a result. And it looks like Verstappen's lap has also been compromised, as Vettel has come out in front of him. So Verstappen's lap been compromised of any chance of him trying to improve on his 7th place. And so that's that really. Down towards Bridge corner we go. And Bottas will look to try and put a pass on him into Priory if he can, which he doesn't. He stays single file behind him, doesn't even attempt to risk it through into that corner. Up towards Brooklands he'll go. How many minutes have we got to go left in the session? Just over 21 minutes of the session remaining to determine the grid for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. As now through the final 2 corners, let's see how much time Valtteri lost this instant, as a result of being held up by Ed Jones, and a lot of time, a 1 minute 20.601. He remains in 19th. Vettel starting his lap, and no improvement for Verstappen. He stays in 7th place as a result. We now look at Pascal Wehrlein, currently 14th at the moment, as he flicks the car in through Priory. And now up towards Brooklands he will go. And now in towards Luffield, the last 2 corners on the track. Let's see what Pascal is able to do now then. Around the final 2 corners and onto the pit straight we will go. And Wehrlein now then across the line. Is this going to be an improvement? It is. He goes up to 8th with that lap. So to P8 goes Pascal Wehrlein. Kimi Raikkonen, what can he do? Doesn't improve, stays in 2nd place with that lap. Ocon currently 9th at the moment. Let's see what the Frenchman's able to do. Across the line comes Ocon. No improvement. Stays 9th with that lap. Stoffel Vandoorne. Across the line he comes. Stays 14th with that lap. Jean-Eric Vergne improves but stays in 20th position. Scott Dixon is coming across the line. What can he manage? And he stays 21st. No improvement. Lewis Hamilton. Can he try and improve on this lap across the line? And no, he can't. He stays 5th with that lap. No improvement for Grosjean, as it's still 12th for Sergio Perez. Daniel Ricciardo looks like he made a mistake somewhere, as he stays P11, because that time is way off his personal best. As here comes Ed Jones then coming around the final few corners on the track. Let's see what Jones is able to achieve across the line, and he stays in 22nd position, as Vettel improves but stays in 9th at the moment. So a lot of surprises going on in this qualifying session, but at the moment it is still Grosjean who's at the top of the timing sheets at this stage. So very surprising stuff here in qualifying, as Grosjean now then approaches these next section of corners. And so far Bud Light Lime doing a good job, it must be said at the moment. They seem to be quite up there for this weekend, and look to see if they can try and get a victory this season. That's if they can try and keep pole position, of course, because we've still got plenty of time left. Still under 20 minutes of the session remaining, so still quite a lot of time for people to improve in this qualifying session, as Grosjean just goes around Priory and then approaching Brooklands. So that's that really. Grosjean now then will go back into the pits in the Bud Light Lime, as he just comes out of the final corner, and into the pits he will go, and Grosjean in. And so now he comes into pit lane, and his mechanics will be waiting for him at the moment. I think Bud Light Lime are very surprised that Grosjean's currently at the top of the timing sheets at this stage. And so let's see then what the leaderboard looks like then. It's Grosjean from Raikkonen, Hulkenberg, Alonso and Hamilton. That's how the leaderboard currently stands at this stage. And so that's that really. And it seems that Grosjean seems to have some pace around this track, it must be said. And seemingly seems to be over a second quicker than... well, sorry, that's not over a second quicker, in fact. I do apologise. I thought that said 1 minute 19 on Hamilton, but no. It's only 300ths of a second separating the top 5, it must be said. So, very close in this qualifying session. The top 5 only separated by 0.03 of a second. So very close indeed, it must be said. As out on track is Hulkenberg, but in front of him went Charles Leclerc. He's been out for quite a while as he prepares to start his next flying lap. Leclerc currently in 15th place at the moment in the shadow, as he will now approach Luffield 1 and then into Luffield 2 we will go. The final corner and on towards Woodcote. And Leclerc now then starting his lap, as he will now approach Copse Corner, as there's a lot of cars now then coming out of pit lane. Leclerc through turn 1. And he'll be hoping there's no traffic there, which for him there isn't, as luckily for him Hartley just slotted behind him as well, as has teammate Carlos Sainz Jr. As we ride on board with the Monegasque driver, the future Eldorado driver for next season, as he just rounds Chapel, heading down the Hangar Straight before approaching Stowe Corner. And Leclerc now then approaching Stowe, as he picks the car into the corner now then, rounding the left-hander before approaching Vale and Club. And so into Vale, and then around Club Corner we will go. And let's see what Leclerc can do on this lap as he comes out of the corner before approaching the flat-out Abbey, as he flicks the car in through this left-hander, heading down the hill towards Bridge Corner. And so now into the corner he goes, up towards Priory. Let's see what Leclerc can do on this lap. Round Priory, up to Brooklands, and now up towards the final few corners. This is going to be an improvement for Charles Leclerc. Round Luffield 1 and then up towards Luffield 2 he will go, as he comes out of that corner now then around Woodcote, and across the line goes Charles Leclerc, and he improves to go up into 12th place. Up to P12 goes Charles Leclerc, as Hartley starts the lap, as does Sainz, as will Giovinazzi, Rowland, Wehrlein, Perez, Verstappen and Bottas, as Hulkenberg's down on his personal best in the second sector. I wonder if Bottas had a part to play in that. Looks like Bottas might have held him up a little bit on that lap there then. As now round the left-hander goes Hulkenberg, as he will now approach Luffield 1 and 2. So let's see what Nico is able to achieve through Luffield 2, heading down the pit straight now then, around Woodcote, and across the line goes Nico Hulkenberg. Is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He stays third with that lap. Van Dorn started the lap. Here's Kevin Magnussen, down in 16th at the moment, clearly struggling around this track. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go, rounding Woodcote, and Magnussen crosses the line. This is going to be an improvement, and it is, but he stays 16th with that lap. Fernando Alonso, this is going to be an improvement for the Spaniard. Round Woodcote and across the line goes Fernando Alonso, and he goes up to second with that lap. So Alonso gets himself onto the front row, but still not enough for pole position at the moment. Grosjean still top at this stage. Here comes Daniel Ricciardo rounding Luffield, and let's see what Danny Rick is able to do across the line, and he doesn't improve, stays in P11 for the moment. Brendan Hartley looking quite strong as well. He's going to now cross the line and doesn't improve, stays 6th for the moment. The monster car looking quite strong around this track. Sainz improves but stays in 18th, still off the pace from teammate Leclerc. Here comes Giovinazzi round Woodcote. Is this going to be an improvement? It is. He goes up to 6th for that lap. So to P6 goes Antonio Giovinazzi. As still 16th is Rowland, but he improves on his best time. Still 9th for Wehrlein. Here is Perez at the moment. Eldorado still not being able to hook up a clean lap yet at the moment. Let's see what Perez is able to do around here. Around Woodcote across the line. Only up to 12th though for Sergio Perez. Max Verstappen goes fastest, surprisingly. Verstappen goes top at the moment. And wow, that is a surprising lap there from Max Verstappen. I didn't expect that, as it's still 12th for Bottas. He improves though on his best time. Here comes Stoffel Van Dorn. Around Woodcote he goes, and he stays in 16th but improves on his best time. Van Dorn's struggling compared to teammate Wehrlein, it must be said, but surprisingly didn't really expect that from him. Verstappen at the top of the timing sheet. So very surprising there. The last time we saw him was when they had a very illegal car, it must be said. Well, in fact, he's haven't even taken pole before. Let's put it that way. Martini's never taken pole position in IFMC. Even when they had the illegal car in the first 4 races, they were never able to stick it on pole. But yeah, where did Verstappen find that from? I was very surprised about that. That Verstappen has gone fastest there. So I think that's a big surprise among everyone, how Verstappen's managed to pull that one off in that car. So, yeah, surprisingly, Verstappen fastest at the moment at this stage. So, Here is Jones now then, who comes up towards Stowe Corner. And in fact, if you look at it now, it's still very close, to be honest with you. It's been a very close qualifying session, it must be said, here at Silverstone. Clearly, everybody really getting their foot down in this qualifying session. I think even the top 7 are separated by only a few hundredths of a second. So, very close, it must be said, in this qualifying session. Out on track then comes Romain Grosjean as he looks to try and get pole back if he can in the Bud Light line. As he goes around Beckett's now then. And then in towards Chapel. And Grosjean now then heading down the Hanger Straight before approaching Stowe Corner. And so here we go now then as we go around Stowe Corner now then on the track. Grosjean just going around the right-hander. And so now in towards Vale and Club. Through Vale and then into Club Corner will go Romain Grosjean. As he just flicks the car around the right-hander at this stage. And in towards Abbey Corner will go Grosjean as he now heads down towards Bridge Corner now then on the track. And Grosjean now then up towards Priory now then he'll go. And then into Brooklands. And Grosjean preparing to start his next flying lap. Scott Dixon out on track, as is Kimi Räikkönen. Lewis Hamilton out on track, looking to see if he can improve. His teammate improved a little earlier on as Lewis looks to try and get another pole position this season. Verne out on track, as is Jones, Magnussen, Hartley as well, Ocon, Giovinazzi, and we'll be expecting Leclerc, Hulkenberg, Rowland, and Vettel to also be coming out onto the track. Let's find where Grosjean is. Grosjean has just started a lap. He's just come out of Copse Corner now then, before approaching Maggots and Beckett's, as Grosjean looks to try and get pole back if he can. Through in towards Beckett's will go the Frenchman, as he now heads through into Chapel. And now down the Hanger Straight, before approaching Stowe Corner now then, as the sparks continue to fly out the back of Grosjean's car now then, around Stowe. And now through towards the left-hander we will go. And Grosjean now then in towards Vale and Club. And he's looking to see if he can improve. So far, a tidy lap for the Frenchman. Will it be enough to try and get pole position back? If he can now then, out of Club Corner now then, through towards the flat out Abbey, through this left-hander. And now down in towards Bridge Corner he will go. Grosjean really pushing hard to try and get that pole position back if he can. Through Priory and then up into Brooklands now then will go the Frenchman. Let's see if this is going to be an improvement for Romain Grosjean. Up towards Luffield 1 and 2 goes the Frenchman now then. Through Luffield 1, around Luffield 2. Is this going to be an improvement for Romain Grosjean? Up towards Woodcote and across the line comes Romain Grosjean. Is this going to be an improvement? And it isn't. He stays second with that lap. So Grosjean unable to get pole this time around. He'll have probably one more flying lap to try and get it right. Vettel still yet to hook up a quick flying lap at the moment. He's still down in 10th place at the moment. Vettel is seemingly struggling around here at Silverstone, as Leclerc is about to start a lap. Scott Dixon currently on one at the moment as he comes up towards the final 2 corners at Luffield. And let's see what he is able to do now then around the final corner and onto the pit straight now. Then we'll go Scott Dixon, currently in a fight with his teammate. Dixon crosses the line and doesn't improve, stays 21st with that lap. Rowland starts a lap behind. Räikkönen doesn't improve, stays 4th for the moment. Hulkenberg starts a lap, but I wonder if he's going to get held up. Hamilton crossing the line and he goes up to 2nd. So Hamilton gets himself onto the front row, but Verstappen surprisingly still at the top of the timing sheet. At this stage, up to 19th goes Jean-Eric Verne, and Kevin Magnussen now then round Woodcote, and he does not improve. He stays 18th at this stage. As here comes Brendan Hartley, currently 8th at the moment. As he now crosses the lines, he's going to be an improvement for him. It is. He's up to 7th with that lap. So up to P7 goes Hartley. Still 11th for Esteban Ocon. As here is Antonio Giovinazzi. He improves but stays in 8th place at that lap. Giovinazzi going back, sorry, Grosjean going back into the pits. Here's Vettel going around the left-hander. 9 minutes remaining in the session. We're now at the 1:30 mark, so we're half an hour away from the feature race for IFMC GP2. Round the final corner goes Vettel as he will now approach Woodcote. And let's see what Sebastian Vettel's able to do. Across the line he will go, and he only goes up to 9th with that lap. Vettel appearing to struggle around here at Silverstone. Only 9th for Vettel. He does improve on that lap. Leclerc across the line stays 15th for the moment. Here is Scott Dixon now then, rounding the final 2 corners. And he's just going back into the pits. Ollie Rowland currently down in 17th, way off the pace from teammate Brendan Hartley. But he comes around Woodcote. This is going to be an improvement for Rowland. And it isn't. He stays 17th with that lap on his final flying lap, it must be said. As it's still 6th for Nico Hulkenberg on his final flying lap. So a disappointing qualifying so far for EMR around here at Silverstone. 6th and 9th for both Hulkenberg and Vettel at this stage. Vettel's still got at least one more flying lap to go, but still disappointing at the moment over at EMR. Out on track then comes Fernando Alonso. His teammate is on the front row, and he looks to try and see if he can grab pole position himself as he comes out onto the track. And I wouldn't be surprised if the session will finish quite early like it did yesterday with GP2. And so that's that really. Is through Chapel will go Fernando Alonso, as now he heads down the Hangar Straight before approaching Stowe Corner. And Alonso just flicking the car through the right-hander before preparing to start his next flying lap on the track. As we'll go around Feo and Club. Carlos Sainz Jr. now then coming out onto the track, as we'll be seeing Van Dorn, Ricciardo, Verstappen, Verline, Perez, Jones, Bottas, not Vettel, Grosjean, and maybe around 4 more to spawn into the pit lane to do their final flying laps. Alonso heading down the hill towards Bridge Corner. And let's see what Nando can do now then. Round at the left-hander he goes, as he prepares now to start his next flying lap now then. As he just comes up towards the final 2 corners on the track. And Fernando Alonso about to start his next flying lap as he goes around Woodcote. And now across the line he'll go before going up towards Copse Corner now then. As somebody comes out of pit lane now then. It looks to be the Mars Grand Prix, one of the Mars Grand Prix cars that's coming out. I would presume it's probably Jones that's come out, but luckily for Alonso, he didn't hold him up. Through Maggots and Beckett goes Fernando now then, flicking the car through the right-hander as he goes through Chapel, heading down the Hangar Straight before approaching Stowe Corner now then. And so let's see what Alonso's able to do. Round Stowe goes the Spaniard, the 3-time champion, just negotiating through that section of the course now then up towards Vale and Club. As mentioned yesterday, the last 2 appearances we've had at Silverstone, Fernando has failed to finish so far at Silverstone. He's looking to try and rewrite the script this season if he can. Up towards Abbey Corner goes Alonso. Sparks coming off the back of the Etihad car as he heads down through Bridge Corner now. Then let's see if this is going to be an improvement for Fernando Alonso. Will it possibly be enough to get pole position if he can? Round Priory and then up in towards Brooklands. Now then will go Fernando Alonso, flicking the car through the left-hander. And then up towards Luffield 1 and 2 now then. Let's see what Fernando is able to achieve. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight we will go as he rounds Woodcote, and Alonso crossing the line. Let's see if he can improve, and he does. He goes fastest. Alonso goes to the top. He beats Verstappen. Alonso fastest with that lap, and Alonso the quickest man as Jones starts a lap behind. As the defending champion has gone to the top of the timing sheets. He's looking to give Lewis a challenge in this championship. The gap going into it is up to 13 points between Hamilton and Alonso. Alonso losing a lot of points in the last few races, but he's looking to rewrite the script from Silverstone onwards, just as he's done in the past. That's typical Alonso for you in IFMC. Carlos Sainz Jr. across the line. Improves but stays in 20th, so a disappointing qualifying session for the young Spaniard. As so far Eldorado along with EMR appear to struggle around this track, it must be said. As here is Verstappen on a lap, currently surprisingly on the front row at the moment. The first time he's been on the front row potentially since they had the illegal car at the beginning of the season, but now the car's fully legal, they can do things properly now. And so far, it seems that the progress they've been making, along with all the cutbacks they've been making, so far paying off for them. Whether it's just the track, I don't know, but Verstappen crosses the line, improves, but stays in 2nd place. Unable to get pole position, unable to get an unlikely pole position. Verline stays 10th for that lap, no improvement. Only 14th for Ricciardo, still 12th for Bottas, so disappointment for the Finn. Here comes Ed Jones then. Around the final corner he goes before approaching Woodcote. And Jones now then will cross the line. And he stays 22nd with that lap, but improves on his best time. Ocon about to start a lap. Here is Stoffel Van Dorn in the AMP, as he now goes around Brooklands. And then up towards Luffield 1 and 2 we will go. And so now around these section of corners, we will go on the track then. Round the final corner and on towards the pit straight. Round Woodcote goes Stoffel Van Dorn. And he now crosses the line. And he stays 16th, no improvement for him. as a result. Here's Sergio Perez. Can he try and get the Eldorado at least into the top 10? It appears that they are struggling around this track along with EMR. Across the line goes Sergio Perez, and he doesn't improve, stays 13th, so a disappointing qualifying session for Eldorado. Still 19th for Vettel. Here comes Romain Grosjean. Can he try and get onto the front row? No, he can't. Stays 4th with that lap there. Then Raikkonen remains 5th. For the moment. Hamilton's expected to come out very soon then. Dixon on a lap as he comes around the final 2 corners now then. Let's see what Dixon is able to do as he rounds the final corner and onto the pit straight goes the Kiwi as he rounds Woodcote, and across the line goes Scott Dixon, and he stays 21st. No improvement for him as a result. As here's Esteban Ocon coming in 11th, way off the pace from teammate Max Verstappen at the moment, finding himself outside the top 10 at this stage. Up towards the final 2 corners then we go. And let's see what Ocon is able to achieve here. Around the final corner and onto the pit straight we go as he will round Woodcote, and across the line comes Esteban Ocon. And is this going to be an improvement? It isn't. He stays 11th on his final flying lap there then, as Hamilton now comes out onto the track as he looks to try and make it a front row lockout for Etihad if he can, and potentially a home pole position here at Silverstone. The fans cheering him on and looking to try and do the business as now Hamilton comes out on the track with 2.5 minutes remaining in the session. He'll have enough to do one more flying lap. Leclerc expected to come out as well, as is Sebastian Vettel, as is Antonio Giovinazzi. Vettel desperate to try and get himself into the top 3, because at the moment it seems it's going to be quite a bit of a challenge for EMR this weekend around Silverstone, as it seems the car is not suited to this track at all. Here is Lewis Hamilton. Around Stowe Corner he will go, as he will now go around the left-hander before approaching Vale and Club. So around Vale goes Lewis Hamilton into Club Corner, flicking the car in as he comes out of the corner now. Then up towards Abbey will go Lewis Hamilton as he now goes around the flat-out left-hander before approaching Bridge Corner. And how many minutes we've got to go left in the session? Just under 2 minutes now remaining in this qualifying session to determine the grid for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. Hamilton now then up towards Brooklands now as he prepares to start his next flying lap then. And up towards Luffield A, and then up towards Luffield B we will go as he now starts his final flying lap now. Then round Woodcote as he now starts his final flying lap now. Then down towards Copse Corner we go. I thought for a minute there somebody else was in the pit lane, but there wasn't. It was just my eyes playing up. So Giovinazzi out there, as is Vettel and Leclerc. So 4 more guys finishing off their final flying laps now. Then round Beckett's goes Lewis Hamilton, pushing hard to try and get pole position if he can, heading down the Hangar Straight for the 4th time in his 4th flying lap now then. And if that made any sense whatsoever, up towards Stowe Corner we go, and Hamilton trying to do whatever he can to get pole position now. Then up towards Vale and Club goes the British favourite. The fans cheering him on as the air horns pretty much deafen the whole place at the moment now. Then up towards Abbey Corner. Is Hamilton going to do enough to try and make it an Etihad lockout on the front row? His teammate currently on pole at the moment, but can Hamilton find enough time to beat him? Up towards Priory goes Lewis Hamilton before approaching Brooklands now. Then he's approaching the final few corners on the track. Let's see if it is enough for the current championship leader to take pole position. Up towards Luffield 1 we go then, and then approaching Luffield 2. Round the final corner and onto the pit straight. Has Hamilton done enough to get pole position? Round Woodcote and across the line goes Lewis Hamilton, and he hasn't. He improves but stays in 3rd place. Verstappen splitting the 2 Etihad surprisingly there. And, wow, Hamilton not able to get pole in front of his home fans. Here's Antonio Giovinazzi down in 8th place. Vettel behind, looking to improve if he can. Round Luffield 2 goes the Italian. Let's see. Giovinazzi across the line goes the Italian. Is this going to be an improvement for Giovinazzi? And it isn't. He stays 8th. Vettel crosses the line and stays 9th. So, disappointment for EMR. And it's still 5th for Leclerc. And there you have it then. So, for the first time, I think, since Brazil, it is Fernando Alonso who takes pole position for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. And very close indeed between Alonso and Verstappen. Both of them setting identical times. And, wow, that's that really. as 600, look how close it was during this qualifying session. So there you have it then, guys. After all of that, here is the grid for tomorrow's British Grand Prix. Fernando Alonso on pole with Max Verstappen second, Lewis Hamilton third, with Romain Grosjean in fourth, Kimi Räikkönen fifth, Nico Hulkenberg in sixth, Brendan Hartley a very good seventh place, Antonio Giovinazzi in eighth, Sebastian Vettel in ninth, with Pascal Wehrlein in 10th, Esteban Ocon 11th, Valtteri Bottas 12th, Sergio Perez 13th, Daniel Ricciardo 14th. Usually it says 0.000 over here, but for some reason it doesn't, so very odd there. But anyway, as we scroll down to the rest of the field, Charles Leclerc 15th, Stoffel Vandoorne 16th, Oliver Rowland in 17th, Kevin Magnussen 18th, with Jean-Yves Verne 19th, Carlos Sainz Jr. in 20th, Scott Dixon 21st, and Ed Jones in 22nd position. So there you have it then, guys. That is the grid for tomorrow's British Grand Prix, and it's looking to be, hopefully, a very exciting race as well. Hopefully you'll tune in tomorrow for, I think it's 59 laps of action. I could be wrong, but I believe it's 59 laps of action around here at Silverstone. But there you have it then, guys. That has been it. I hope you enjoyed it. But stick around now, guys, because coming up next is the feature race for IFMC GP2, which sees George Russell on pole ahead of Felix Rosenqvist and Mitch Evans. So if you want to go and grab a quick drink, then you can. But until then, I'll be JWF1, and I will see you guys in just a little bit.